Hi, this is Dave Hodges of the Common Sense Show, and we're the show that's freeing America, one enslaved mind at a time. Well, John Podesta may not be the sharpest tool in the box. I can't believe what he's doing, given all that he has to hide. What's really interesting is John Podesta has attacked Donald Trump on Twitter. Not a noteworthy event unless, if you live in a glass house, you're not supposed to throw stones. Well, Podesta came up at the G20 conference. So you want to talk about a man that's running out of places to run and hide? That would be John Podesta. President Trump tweeted on Friday that everyone at the G20 summit was talking about why John Podesta refused to give the DNC server to the FBI and the CIA. The DNC rejected help from DHS following Russian hacks into the computer system during the 2016 election cycle, according to former DHS chief Jay Johnson, who was an Obama appointee. That's even more shocking. Now, let's get down to what this means. Obviously, if you claim you've been hacked, as the DNC did, and we know now it was Seth Rich that did it and sent the emails to WikiLeaks because he was PO'd that Bernie Sanders was cheated by Hillary Clinton in the primary election with the help of George Soros' voting machines. But we know now that there's a lot more to this. First of all, you got the smoking gun comment by John Podesta that I've talked about before. Let's make an example of the leaker. 2 days later, Seth Rich was dead. Shot execution style, fake robbery. It wasn't a robbery at all. Now, Podesta, why wouldn't he want the DNC server analyzed by the FBI? After all, they cleared Hillary Clinton when she was clearly guilty of thousands of national security violations. What could be on these tapes, these emails, that Podesta, Clinton, and the rest of the DNC, like the former head Deborah Wasserman Schultz, doesn't want law enforcement to see? What could be so bad that even a Comey-controlled FBI couldn't be trusted not to prosecute? What could be so terrible? Well, there are two things that come to mind. One is provable, and one makes a lot of logical sense, and it should be a point of interest. The one that is provable is this. A couple of years ago, the New York Times published an article, and I've documented this 9 times Sunday on thecommonsenseshow.com. If you want to find it, simply go to the search engine at thecommonsenseshow.com and put in Hillary and selling uranium to the Russians. And I've referenced this numerous times to drive the point home. But it was the New York Times that broke the story. She took, or had BLM take uranium off of land, similar to the Bundys, and this is a lot of what that was about, and sent the uranium to Russia. In exchange, husband in name only Bill got to make a speech in Moscow in which he was paid $500,000, but more importantly, Hillary was paid undisclosed amounts, rumored to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars, to the Clinton Foundation. And then the Clinton Foundation would turn around and commingle the funds with the Clinton campaign. And she's guilty of so many voter violations or election campaign violations. It's incredible. She can't commingle that kind of money. Well, first of all, selling uranium to a nation who you're talking about enforcing a no-fly zone, hello, Hillary, that's treason. That is absolute treason. The name of the company was Uranium One. So the New York Times did their homework. I dug a little deeper. I took that and I expanded on what the New York Times broke, and I talked about more of the principles that were involved, how the money ended up going through HSBC, part of it, not all of it, and ended up in the Clinton Foundation. And before James Comey was the FBI director, he oversaw some of this because he was on the board of directors of HSBC. This is all provable. There's no question this is true. And since the New York Times ran with this, and since I expanded on it, multiple people in the independent stellar job of even filling in more details. So, of course, if you're John Podesta, you do not want this going to the authorities in any form. I mean, number one, selling uranium is treasonous. You could be executed. Number two, you commingled funds with a foreign government, and you're working with a foreign government, violation of the Logan Act. That's a felony. And number three, you've broken how many campaign laws and how many felonies? I mean, we're talking about enough years here to put Hillary Clinton and John Podesta away for life, and anybody else associated with the Clinton Foundation, like Tony Podesta, Bill Clinton, Chelsea Clinton. All of these people could be serving lengthy, if not lifetime, prison sentences. So that's why. And you know that the people in the G20 who have their own intelligence sources that dwarf anything I can do, dwarf anything that the New York Times could do on their own, you know they know the story, which is why they brought it up. Now I come back to this. The deep state permeates not just in the United States, but it extends its tentacles into all of the G20 nations. Hillary Clinton, and I've brought this up before, she is going to be sacrificed in an attempt to make a deal with Donald Trump. It is the only thing that makes any sense. Donald, don't prosecute the top people for child sex trafficking. Here's the level of threshold you can move up to, but no further. In exchange, we'll do some things for you, like I bet the Russian stuff goes away if Trump plays ball, and that Hillary Clinton will be sacrificed on other counts. I've already identified what that case will be. It's involving a Bangladesh national who arranged for Clinton Foundation donations, and when the IRS put the squeeze on this person inside the United States, well, let's just put it this way. Clinton used Lois Lerner, then the head of the IRS, to basically intimidate people in the government of Bangladesh not to go after her one of her main Clinton Foundation donors, also a known drug dealer. So this is where we're at with the provable. Now, what is unprovable but extremely likely, given the surrounding set of circumstances? I mean, anyone who would be a detective walking into an interrogation room, knowing the facts that are known, would be thinking the following without question. What else is on those emails? Child sex trafficking. And this is one of the reasons why Seth Rich had to be murdered. He had to know what was on there. He talks, people go to prison. Also, the federal prosecutor in Deborah Wasserman Schultz's district, who was found bludgeoned to death, who was looking into voter fraud and looking at these emails that had already been released. Not all of them have been released, but some of them. And he's murdered to cover this up. Does this tell you how extensive Murder Inc. is in the DNC? But they could not send this information to the FBI. This is very possibly the biggest scandal in American history. And I know people say the Kennedy assassination, and I would probably grant you that argument. But if the Kennedy assassination is one, this whole scenario here is 1A because of the multiple murders that have already occurred, the extreme theft of money, a near presidential candidate almost securing the office of the president, her husband, ex-president Bill Clinton, all these high-ranking officials, they're going down. But I think they're going to go down for Bangladesh, not for the crimes we'd all like to see them go down for. Well, this is why this is a joke at the G20. Now, why would they be talking about this at the G20? Go back to what I said earlier in this broadcast. The deep state is basically international banking to a large extent, and it permeates control over these other nations at the G20. This is why. The scenario is being set for Hillary to be sacrificed, but in unrelated charges for what we'd really like to see: sex trafficking, murder. That's what we'd like to see her go down for. Instead, she's going to go down for abuse of office. She's going to go down for intimidation, bribery. That's what she's going to go down for. And I don't think she's going to do a very long sentence. But she represents a real threat to the deep state. And would it totally surprise me if she stepped on an airplane and that was the last thing she ever did? No, it wouldn't surprise me either. These are big, big stakes, because let's go to the other side of things. Let's say that Jeff Sessions shows up with his people. Hillary Clinton, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. And she goes down for the child sex trafficking rings. She goes down for the massive voter fraud that we know that took place in 2016, both in the primary and the general election, courtesy of Hillary and top staffers at the DNC. We know about the trail of bodies. We know about the treason. These are the things that we'd all love to see Hillary Clinton go down for. And if it happened, John Q. Public, who's happy sitting there with his beer belly and his can of Bud Light on the couch, watching CNN as the gospel of truth, would have to say, holy crap, Batman. There really is a deep state. There really is a shadow government, and she works for them. And oh, by the way, I think those things I heard about her being a bona fide fourth-degree coven witch, that's probably true too. This is what the deep state can't afford. They can't afford the public revelations, because it would tip the balance of power of public opinion against them, and there would be holy hell to pay. Well, that's it for the Common Sense Show. Thanks so much for joining us. We are brought to you by Numana Foods. Numana is the very best in storable food. Numana is going to help you and your family, should the day come, to survive any challenge. And there are a lot of challenges out there right now, and you know all too well what they are if you're following us on this channel. So how can you get ready if you're not fully prepared, or if you don't have a backup supply of food? Go to numana.com/Hodges and take 5% off with the promo code Hodges, NOV5. And to those of you who are hearing the broadcast for the first time, or you've made a repeat visit but have not yet subscribed, please do so. We'll keep you updated whenever news events happen and we do a release. You'll get notified. To everyone else, please give us a thumbs up and share this with social media.